So everybody's telling you to blend, but nobody's telling you what that actually means or how to do it.
Hey, I'm maybe Burke and you're watching Makeup for Lost Time. This is my series for trans women and other people who feel like they missed a few classes when it came to learning about makeup.
Looking at the difference with my eyes here, this side is nicely blended, this side is not. Basically, when something is blended, there's not going to be like harsh edges between colors. With eye makeup in particular, it's not wrong to not have a good blend. It's just an aesthetic choice. But if you want more of a blended look, let's go over how we get it. With something like I have here, it's actually simple. You can see there's like a more harsh edge along my crease color that I'm just gonna take the brush. I didn't add anything to it. I didn't dip it right back into the eyeshadow. I'm just going to take it along that edge, and with little flicks, I'm just gonna kind of blur the edge of that eyeshadow. Doing some swiping, I'm doing some little strokes. And see, already, that line pretty much disappeared for us. Now I have this darker shade on my outer corner, but staying with the brush of my crease color, that's kind of like a medium color, I'm just gonna tap right over that as well. And it does help it just blend in a little more seamlessly. When I think of the term blending in terms of makeup, I'm thinking of blending in. Like if I wanted to blend in a crowd, I would not do things that call attention to me. If you want your makeup to blend in and not look like too obvious that you have makeup on and things like that, using these techniques to get a softer edge makes eyeshadow look more like a typical shadow and less like a stark line on your face. But now let's look at this in terms of complexion. To blend out my foundation, I'm only taking a little bit on the brush and using little dabbing strokes to get an even coat all over my face, making sure there's no brush strokes, no streaks, and no areas are heavier than the rest. I really want this to blend in and be undetectable. But then when it comes to adding blush or bronzer, a lot of people will go in with this dot method and then take a brush or your fingers even and blend out from there. I'm just gonna tap where it is to help that blend. But see, it's actually hard for me to do from where that dot was. So what I'm gonna do is the same thing I did with my foundation. I'm gonna put it on the back of my hand first, and then I'm gonna pick that up on a brush, and I'm gonna start where I want the most color to be, and I'm gonna start by stamping there, and then without putting any more on my brush, I'm gonna slowly start making circles around that spot. Basically making sure that there's not just one little circle of the blush on my face, but it blends in across my whole cheek, but really it keeps the most pigment where I put it in the first place. I can do that on here as well. It's just gonna take me a little bit more work to get that to blend in. Ooh, what was black on my hand? That's not good. And now blending doesn't have to mean that it ends up covering like your whole cheek or your whole face. For instance, when I come in with my concealer of choice, I can lay this down in all of the places that I'll normally put my concealer. And this is obviously the unblended version. But when I want to blend that out, I'm actually just going to tap over where the color is. So starting on my forehead here, I'm going to tap right over that concealer from the center out to those edges. So I'm not moving the concealer and spreading it across my forehead, but just blending out that little bit that I had at the center. And I'm gonna do that same thing down the center of my face where I placed all of my concealer. See, on my chin, I'm just dabbing it in place and it will blend out on its own. On my nose, I know I wanna bring it up a little bit so that I will move, but under my eyes, I more or less want it to stay in place. I'm gonna wanna drag it out a little bit under my eye, but I'm going to tap it where it is, bring it up a little closer to my eye, and just a little bit over. But again, most of the pigment is going to stay where I first placed it down, and then we're just using the little bit that's on the brush to go over with a lighter layer over the rest of where I want that concealer to go. So tapping that in place, and then bringing a little bit up and a little bit over. And that's all we mean when we're talking about blending. Now, there are tricks and things to get a smoother blend. I've talked already about some ways that I will go and like fake a blend. You can mix your blush together with your concealer to get like a middle color between them to help that blend. I'll always come in with extra layers and go back and forth between colors to make sure the blend is as strong as I want it to be. But at the end of the day, I want to make sure that you like the makeup that you're wearing and it is fitting your aesthetic and the way that you want it to be. So if you're happy with your blend, be happy with your blend. But if you want a little more blend, or if you want to try out what it might look like, give these techniques a shot and stay tuned as we make up for lost time.